This is Miss Lizzie, and I want to welcome you to the Queen Lizzie podcast. Together, we will go through the history of Rosewood, Florida, and watch as the once prosperous town rises out of the bloodshed, fire, and ash to reveal the people, the memory, and the legacy of Rosewood. Watch every Thursday on Facebook and YouTube, or listen to our story on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Hello, everybody. I am Lizzie Robinson Jenkins, representing not only the Rosewood Foundation, but the personal testimonies and history of cherished friends and family. You are now watching the Queen Lizzie podcast. Today, we are talking with Dr. Jacque. First of all, I want to let you know that we are sponsored by Campus USA Credit Union and Meldon Law. Again, the Queen Lizzie podcast is brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union, live from the Meldon Law Gator Studios at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Special thanks to Greg Bradley of Allstate. Thank you. And as I said to you earlier, I am talking to Dr. Jacque. Dr. Jacque is a professor at the University of Florida, and she is going to give you or tell you more about who she is and what she does and how she is working in the community to help make Alachua County greater. Dr. Jacque.
Thank you so much for having me here, Ms. Lizzie. This is an honor. I feel very fortunate to be asked to come here and speak to you and to be doing the work that we've been doing with the community. So I am Dr. Jacque. My last name is Micieli-Voutsinas, but even my students have a hard time saying that, so I just say, call me Dr. Jacque or call me Jackie, or sometimes it's Dr. MV, but the initials M and V.
Yes.
But Jackie's fine.
Okay.
So I am a recent hire at the University of Florida now. This is my third year here, so I am new to Florida. I come and hail from New York State. I spent the majority of my life in New York State, although I've lived in Rhode Island and I've lived in Canada for a little bit, but really New York is home base for me. And when I came here to UF to join the Museum Studies faculty in the College of the Arts, I'm co-directing that program, and I started out here as part of an initiative to think about how museum studies can work to transform our heritage environments. And that was really important to me. What does it look like to think about the 21st century, the questions that are facing our nation, the contentious nature and climate of talking about difficult histories in particular,
Yes.
and how can we prepare our students not only to change institutions of memory, museums, memorials, art spaces, etc., but also how we can prepare them to do this work in an environment that really asks them to take up wounds that have not been resolved in communities, right? To really be in community and to look at the histories that are unresolved and that live as, if you will, living wounds within the environments that we occupy every day, from the institutions we live to the lands that we live in, and etc. So that's really the work that I've been doing in the community, and that's how I got involved with the Alachua County Community Remembrance Project.
And we are happy, we are pleased to have you, especially the timing is perfect because you just said that the difficult histories. Rosewood, you know, I am a descendant, and it is a difficult history. It's difficult to think about, talk about, write about, but it's a history that must be told. And I was honored to meet you, knowing that you are working with the museum, because tomorrow, as early as tomorrow, I can't remember the name, Flowers mapping and survey team will be coming to Archer, to my home, where we plan to recreate Rosewood and build a museum. So their job starts tomorrow. And that's what I mean when I say the timing is just perfect. So I will have to be home tomorrow to show them the 29 acres that we are going to make into, I don't know what we're going to make it into. It's going to be something big and fancy. Okay, we plan to redo or resurrect Rosewood, and you are going to play a major part in this. Plus,
Oh boy.
hopefully, hopefully plus.
I'm here for it.
Yes, yes, yes. You are have been sent by God, so we appreciate you. And as I said again, it is timely. Our history does not need to be put on the back burner. We have lived this history. We have made this history. And you know that my mom, you don't know about my mother, you know, or you have heard that my aunt was the Rosewood school teacher. And sometimes I may say aunt, but you all get the message. And her name was Mahalda Gussie Brown Carrier. From Archer, she lived this history. Okay, and she told my mom her story, and she said, Retha, she called my mother Retha, her name is Teresa. You must tell my story. And because she was gang raped by the KKK on the night of January 1, when she came home January 4 after escaping by train, she was too embarrassed to tell her parents what happened to her. But she told my mother, who was 8 years younger, still living at home, age 20. And everything she told my mother told me. However, her assignment was difficult for me. You must research, authenticate, and tell Rosewood history. Not back then, but later on in life. And I said to her, no, I can't do it. It's too painful. She said if Mama was younger, Mama would do it. And I wanted to say to her, Mama, do it. Because it was a challenge. It still is a challenge. But today, I'm happy I heeded to her request. Had I not, I would not have met you. And because everything, I tell people this all the time, every time I meet somebody new, it's because of the history. And they are very interested in helping us out. And you have a new job you didn't talk about, but you are going to be working with ACCRP. Did I say
So
that right?
yes, that's correct. I won't call it a job, but it's been work that I've been willingly doing for
Okay.
the last few years in the community. So so I'll back that up by saying that I agree. This work is very much calling. When I came here, and I was hired here by the university, I had come with about 15 years of experience working in difficult heritage spaces. I am drawn to them. This is where I go in. And the one that I say is primarily where I spend most of my time is around the geographies afflicted by the September 11th terrorist attacks, because I'm a New Yorker, I'm from New York, I live outside the city. That was a very personal day to my family. My father worked for the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and that's a bi-state organization that owns and operated the trade towers. And he lost 82 employees and coworkers and colleagues. He was deeply traumatized by those events. And we also had a very contentious relationship, my father and I. But when that event happened, I reached out to him and I said, I want to reconcile. And here's the child going to the parent saying,
Right.
I'd like to reconcile. And, he wasn't ready at the time. And he said no. And it took another 3 to 4 years, but eventually we reconciled. Right?
Perfect.
And it's just like, and then studying and being around and being involved in the memorial process, the museum process. Like, these are real people. These are real
Yes.
lives. These are real communities. You're going into people's homes. Right? Like, this is hard stuff. And it's real stuff, right? It's raw stuff.
Yes, it is.
But it also can be really transformational stuff, right? It's the stuff that can heal. It's the stuff that can repair. It's the stuff that can literally bring in a more just world. It's the stuff that can cause more harm and keep things hidden or keep things in pain and keep things suffering or cause more suffering. And those became really profound questions for me to ask as a scholar, as an activist scholar, as a practitioner. And so when I came here, one of the first things folks started emailing me about was the work of the Alachua County Community Remembrance Project.
Yes.
And they're like, do you know about this group? And I said, well, I know very much about the Equal Justice Initiative, and that was one of the things that I was really interested in getting involved in when I moved here.
Perfect, because I have gone to Montgomery twice. It's an experience that each person within the sound of our voices need to experience. You need to go there. When you walk in that door, your life changes. You can feel the energy. It's there. I can't tell you, I can't explain it to you, but every person I saw, a picture of everybody I saw, I just knew they were my ancestors. And that's where my heart is. So I had to go back a second time to confirm it. I also have traveled to Birmingham. I was there at the 50th anniversary when President Barack Obama was there, John Lewis was there, Governor Bush was there. We all came together. It's not a one-man show.
Yeah.
It's history, it's our work, and we all need to be out there working it together. And speaking of 9/11, a young lady that was involved and survived 9/11 became a friend. We became friends. She came here in 2013, and she was my Rosewood keynote speaker. She did an excellent job of telling us and bringing us through her trauma. It wasn't easy for us to listen. For 30 minutes she spoke. You could not hear a pin. We were captured in what she said. That is a hard history, and now she is a minister.
Wow.
Because she needed to go from point A to point B, and she is still telling her story and preaching her story. She was so traumatized when it happened. For 9 months, what's his name, Bloomberg, I'm thinking he was the governor at the time. For 9 months, she had a 9-year-old, younger than that, maybe 6-year-old son. He actually took that son, her son, home and kept him in his house for 9 months, giving her time
To heal.
to heal, to heal. So it's so much goes into history, keeping it alive and doing it right. It takes all of us working together. And after the first half, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the Alachua County Black Heritage Trail.
Yes.
Yes, we are going to talk about that, and I have enjoyed. Well, we'll talk about that when we return. But anyway, if you are interested in purchasing a book, which is called Lizzie's Rosewood Story, am I right? Lizzie's Rosewood Story, whatever it is. Anyway, it's on my website at www.rosewoodflorida.com, and while you're there, you can make a donation. Okay, that's about time for our first half. We are going to head to a quick break, and we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Attention all Gator fans, Meldon Law is giving away a chance to experience the Florida-Georgia game like never before. 2-night stay at the Hilton on the River, dinner at Ruth Chris Steakhouse, 2 premium tickets to the game, and a football signed by Coach Billy Napier, and much more. Go to the Meldon Law Facebook page and look for the VIP experience for 2. Good luck and go Gators!
I am Black History.
I am Rosewood Black History.
I am Florida and America's Black History. And you are too. January 1st, 1923, the KKK insurrectionists attacked Rosewood, killing 5, burning it down.
Because a white woman lied and cried, a black man assaulted me. Rosewood redevelopment is on its way.
Want to help? Visit rosewoodflorida.com.
Welcome back to Queen Lizzie Podcast, recorded right here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Coach Spurrier's own podcast room. We are here with Dr. Jacque. Again, Dr. Jacque, welcome. But before we talk about something very special that the two of us are working with together, I'm going to talk about an event that is coming up in Jacksonville. I have been invited to, not to speak, but to vend my book, Lizzie's Rosewood Race. And we're going to be there for 4 days. And at the end, at the culminating gala, I will be given an award that may not be important to some people, but it's special to me. And I feel honored, and I have not received the award. So I like to brag a little too, because I'm human, okay? So I'm going to be doing this, and I'm going to meet lots of people, and we are going to be talking about Rosewood, the history of Rosewood, other histories. There are people from the University of Florida that will be there on a panel. They didn't ask me to serve on the panel. However, I will be there. They know who I am. And maybe next year when it is in Washington, D.C. or wherever, I will be invited. I'm not as popular as some of the people, but I'm getting there. And I also want you to know that we still have out there our elegy for Rosewood. If you want to find us, you can type in an elegy for Rosewood. You can also find us on our Facebook, Lizzie Robinson Jenkins, or the Real Rosewood Foundation Inc., or on the podcast, Queen Lizzie Podcast. Keep up with us. Donate to the foundation to help move the John Wright House or to help support scholarship. We're busy. We have a lot going on, all for the next generation. And I tell this story not for my children, my family, but for the next generation, our children. We must work together and keep our history alive. Okay, and I want to tell you about a few things that we have coming up in the future. We are going to have, hopefully by November, a Rosewood concert, because I didn't locate, about 13 singers, guitarists, male and female, have gotten in touch with me, and they have each written a song. And they want to come to Gainesville and do a performance. And we are doing a Rosewood concert. We will keep you updated. Plus, we are going to do a Rosewood play. I have a young man at the University of Miami, FIU, who is a retired law and order actor. And he has put together a Rosewood play. And he wants to bring that play here to Gainesville first. And one other thing coming up, I don't remember, but stay tuned and you will hear what is going on with Rosewood, and you will also be able to listen to what is going on with ACCRP. And I hope I did it correctly. But right now, I'm going to switch back to Dr. Jacque, and she is very involved with Alachua County
Community Remembrance Project.
Project, and working on the Alachua County Black Heritage Trail
in particular.
Okay, so would you like to
absolutely
share some
Absolutely.
information with us about what you're doing?
So the Alachua County Community Remembrance Project has been in a partnership within the community and the county since about 2019, 2020. Mm-hmm. And so when I arrived in 2021, I started participating in the Gainesville subcommittee, but a lot of that work was still in the pandemic, and so a lot of it was virtual and remote, ceremonies online kind of thing. And as the year ran down, people were starting to talk about and get excited about, well, what do we do next, right? We have this truth, and what do we do next? How do we contribute to reconciliation? And I was speaking up and kind of being a little more vocal at that time. And I said, well, there's this grant initiative at the University of Florida. There's a seed grant, and one of the kind of points in the seed grant is reconciliation. And I said, would you like to put a grant together, and maybe we can use that grant as a way to bring in the museum study students in our program, and we can find ways to tell this history and teach it and create more opportunities to bring the community together in truth and reconciliation. And I ended up hearing from Jacque Davis. And so Jacque Davis is very involved in the ACCRP, along with Carl Smart and Commissioner Chestnut and Deidre Houchin. So there's lots of people who are already involved, and I kind of got in to that conversation with them. And I said, well, what do you want? There's this grant here. Tell me what you want me to do. We'll see if we get it. Tell me the sky's the limit. And so they said, we'd really like to do three things. We'd like to build a permanent soil collection jar exhibition for all of the soil jars that have been collected throughout the community ceremoniously to remember the victims of racial terror lynching. And I said, okay, let's put that on the grant list. They said, we want to create a Black Heritage Trail. And I said, okay, let's put that on the grant list. And I said, how about we also take a community group along with the university students to Montgomery, Alabama to visit the Legacy Museum and the Memorial for Peace and Justice so these students can learn about this history as well. And we ended up getting the grant. And so last February we ended up taking about 40 community partners from the ACCRP and our UF Museum Studies grad students, affiliated faculty, to Montgomery, Alabama for the weekend, and we did that journey, that pilgrimage together, and it was transformational.
Yes.
Transformational and foundational, because then when we came back, we met, we got together, we reflected on our experience, and it really ignited the students again to the calling. You are here in this calling of leaving the world a better place, right?
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Doing the thing that you came here to do, and transform our heritage environments. And so we took that energy into the spring semester, and we came up with a proposal for a permanent exhibition for the soil collection jar ceremonies in Alachua County. And that has been adopted and approved, and so we're waiting now next steps to try to collaborate and get the funding to actually build and execute it. And that'll be a permanent soil collection ceremony, exhibition space, and remembrance space for the whole ACCRP, really, and its legacy in the county. And that right now is going to be in the Alachua County Administration building. So we're working on when and how that's going to actually manifest in material form. So to be continued on that front.
Absolutely.
And then in the meantime, we've been working on the Black Heritage Trail, which we renamed to the Digital Black Heritage Trail.
Okay.
Because we know there's so many other trail groups that are happening that are
Yes.
actual trails where people gather in person and they go from place to place to place and they learn about a history with a tour guide. This is a little different, but we are creating a website, which is a whole archive of, first of all, it's a rebuilding of the existing Alachua County Truth and Reconciliation website. So it'll be a more robust website, tell more of the history, document the ACCRP's efforts in this historic Truth and Reconciliation Commission, how all of the municipalities of the county joined in on that work, how it's connected to EJI, the work of
Yes.
Patricia Hillard-Nunn,
Yes.
Dr. Patricia Hillard-Nunn, my pardon, and the really significant community groups and historians and folks who've been doing this work in the community for
long
years.
time, for years.
Right?
And you've got to come back, not come back, you've got to come to Archer. Remember, you were supposed to, and I just gave out. When I say gave out, I shut
We're going to make it
down.
happen, Miss Lizzie.
We are going to
We're
make,
gonna
it,
make
happen.
it happen.
I feel much
will
better.
happen.
And I'm living to make sure it happens. You and your students are coming out? Yes.
We're going to come out.
Yes. And you all are going to do what you need to do, digital, and
Yep.
we're going to put it together.
So we're doing this really fun thing now with we have about 150 places of significance that have been
Wow.
identified by the subcommittees around different sites and places of significance to the Black community,
Yes.
historic, present day. We're collecting those histories, we're documenting them, and they'll all be in a permanent archive on the website, visually presented. There'll be maps and interactives, and we're hoping, phase 2 of a grant at some point so that we can really, spread the word, get it out in the community, and maybe do some more public exhibitioning around it.
Perfect. And I am excited about you coming back. I'm not going to talk about my house, but you're not coming there for that purpose. You're coming there, and we are going to work together. I am excited because you know what? All of this is history, and it's all as we say, hard history. But I tell people history is who we are. And without the history, we don't exist. We're nothing. So it has to be told. My mom said, preserve it, preserve it, preserve it. And that's what I do well, I think. Right. And I have books, more books to be written. I have so much information I need. Do you know any writers or any kids that would maybe
Want to do
able
a
or
project?
interested? Yes, in putting some of my work in a book.
I'll think
Think
on
about-
that. I'm like,
yeah.
maybe you need a ghostwriter, somebody who can write your book for you, with you. People do that.
Not with me. Okay, yes.
Like
with
you
me.
you dictate it, and somebody writes
Right.
it.
Plus, I have supporting evidence. I have photos. Oh my God! I have done a tribute to my aunt. Awesome, but it's too much. Her life journey was absolutely too much. The most amazing thing she did after the Rosewood massacre, she stayed married to her husband for approximately 23 years. She left him, came home. She was tired. So she never divorced him, but she came back to Archer and lived with her sister. And I was a little girl. I remember I just didn't know what was going on. I was like 4-ish. And what was so amazing, she was broke. She didn't have any money. So she didn't have any use or any need to live in Jacksonville any longer. She was working for a doctor and his wife, taking care of his children. So she came home, and I remember one day, I don't remember, Mom said one day she asked my dad, Yuri, may I use your truck? May I borrow your truck? He said yes. She went to Brunson. Why Brunson? Because the sheriff that she knew in Rosewood, the Levy County sheriff, lived in Brunson. So she went to his house. And he saw her, Mom said, almost passed out. Gus said, what are you doing here? Very harshly. Because he was still afraid for her after all of these years. She said, I'm broke. I need a job. I don't have any money. And there's a principalship in Gulf Hammock, which was about 6 miles from Rosewood in the same county. And she said, you're the only person who can write a letter of reference for me. He said, get in your car and get out of here. You will hear from me soon. So she left. Sure enough, within a few days, he brought her a signed emergency copy of the job, the principalship job. I have a copy of that original emergency that I want to share with you so that you can do the digitizing of it and put it into the records. And I have some more important information that I want to share. But she was something else. So I'm going to do a tribute to her and think about if you have students or if you can find somebody who is willing to ghostwrite for me.
I was saying maybe it's called a memoirist. I need a third party to confirm somebody.
Well,
but whatever it's called, yes, to
we'll
take
do it.
down your stories
Yes.
and to help you produce what you want to produce.
And yes, and I'm not getting younger. But I'm going to be here for another 25 years. Okay? I got 25 years
Yes,
to go.
let's do it.
Let's do it. And I'm so glad that you came in to talk with, to have a conversation today. And I am looking for
Thank
other
you.
people who are and who will. It's not always all about Rosewood. It's about getting the history out there.
And once we start talking about it, wow, there's so much. There's so many layers.
Yes.
There's so much.
Yes. And we have the people out there willing to do it.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, Rosewood is not about me. It's about us. Okay? All right. I am continuously humbled, honored, and blessed to meet people daily and invite them to join in peace building, healing, and reconciliation through learning about the history of Rosewood. That will wrap up today's episode. I am Queen Lizzie. Until next time, goodbye, and thank you very much, Dr. Jacque.
Thank you again for having me.